A lot of stupid people, myself included, have this skill where we take a simple concept and magically complicate it when explaining it to others. It's the same reason why politics feels convoluted, and the same reason why pretentious honor students contradict their societal designation. However, Psycho-Pass is the complete opposite of this phenomena, as it depicts thought-provoking concepts of society ranging from literary works during the Renaissance all the way to popular dystopian novels of the 20th century, while being palatable for a viewer unfamiliar with said works. So, with that being said, let's talk about the premise of this dystopian masterpiece. Psycho-Pass is set in 22nd century Japan, a peaceful society moderated by a technologically advanced surveillance system. This so-called Sybil system enforces a safe society by instantaneously quantifying a person's mental state, personality, and criminal intent as a psychopath, or crime coefficient. Those with crime coefficients 100 and above get branded as latent criminals, while those 300 and above are determined as too far gone and unfit for society. Therefore, it's the job of law enforcement officers known as inspectors to uphold the law and subjugate anyone deemed a criminal by the system. Alongside them are their subordinates, known as enforcers, who are latent criminals, granted small freedoms in exchange for their services as expendable hunting dogs. Right away, you might be thinking about China's social credit system, and you wouldn't be entirely wrong to do so. However, the funny thing, actually let's call it the scary thing. The scary thing about China's surveillance system is it manages to be worse than a system depicted in a dystopian work of fiction. Instead of objective examinations via mental state and criminal intent, China utilizes insecure bureaucrats that audaciously judge the citizens' gaming consumption while ignoring their own caloric overconsumption. However, the differing frameworks of a system doesn't mean similar questions of society cannot be explored, and Psycho-Pass expertly has the viewer ruminating about questions of society one would have today. Those who enjoy dark mysteries will find a strong narrative woven into the dystopian themes of Psycho-Pass. However, the show's greatest strength revolves around a narrative that predicates its storytelling on philosophical inquiry into society, without being convoluted, pretentious, or watered down to the viewer. Through the characters of the show, we are able to inquire questions of who has the right to judge, and the impact a society has on its people as they become over-reliant to the system. So, with that being said, let's talk about the characters of the show. The characters of Psycho-Pass are very unique because each one of them tests society and responds to the Sybil system in different ways. First, we have Akane, who's a book-smart nerd that scored high on Sybil's aptitude tests, leading to her placement as an inspector by the Sybil system. As an inexperienced rookie inspector, Akane is essentially the viewer, naive and sheltered to the dark human nature hidden between the utopian cracks of Sybil. However, as the show goes on, Akane grows from a naive ace student to a jaded detective with street smarts. Unlike the other characters of the show, Akane sees true value in the Sybil system and its importance on society, but also realizes that the system isn't everything, especially towards the end of the show. Next, we have Ginaza, who is a veteran inspector that works as Akane's equal. Unlike Akane, Ginaza lives with a stick up his ass and treats his enforcer subordinates as dregs of society due to their designation as latent criminals by Sybil. His blind trust in the system shows as he obsesses about his crime coefficient to the point of being unhealthy and enslaved by the system. That doesn't mean Ginaza is without redemption, as the culmination of his backstory, character interactions, and ongoing development lead to one of the most interesting character arcs in the story. Next, we have Kougami, who's arguably the main character of the show. As an enforcer, Kougami is a latent criminal that works under Akane and Ginaza. Kougami, being able to think like a criminal, makes him an excellent detective, but also the reason why his crime coefficient is so high. As an enforcer, Kougami is someone who believes in justice and helping people. However, sometimes his motivations waver as he gets lost between his motives and Sybil's motives. Like most enforcers, Kougami is not a huge fan of the Sybil system, but tolerates it because his obsession with revenge consumes his dislike for the system. Speaking of dislike for the system, we have Makishima. Silky white hair probably makes it pretty obvious, but Makishima is the main villain of the show. However, his nuance and character philosophy makes it unclear whether he is another protagonist or antagonist of the show. Without getting into spoiler territory, just know that Makishima is arguably the greatest villain in anime, as he challenges the Sybil system while uncovering its mysteries. Overall, Psycho-Pass houses an impressive cast of characters that respond to the Sybil system in different ways, and leads the viewer to inquire about society from different vantage points. Akane, who benefits from Sybil, sees the value in the system, but she's also capable of acknowledging that it's not everything. Ginaza, like many people, is overwhelmed by the system and unintentionally tethers himself to it. Kougami, who is indifferent to the system, uses it to enact his own justice. And Makishima, who deems the system unworthy to judge him, finds every opportunity to challenge and expose it. Also, the rest of the enforcers are phenomenal, ranging from a man's man boomer that enjoys a good drink, an extroverted flirt with a sassy demeanor, and an introverted rocker that keeps to herself. The art of Psycho-Pass will appeal to those who enjoy a cyberpunk aesthetic, as the show not only displays a technologically lit city, but also highlights technological innovations you expect to see during the 22nd century. Here we have augmented reality using holograms to decorate rooms and human attire, a virtual world metaverse that is being engaged as a social media platform, some cybernetic augmentations, and of course, the usual automation and surveillance systems that are inevitable in any society. However, Cyberpunk isn't only about high tech, and the show absolutely nails the low-life aesthetic that does a great job juxtaposing technological advancements with societal collapse and decay. This also aids in setting a dark aesthetic to the narrative because Psycho-Pass is a show that doesn't shy away from bloody violence and disturbing cruelty. Those who appreciate the cyberpunk subgenre will be pleased to know that Psycho-Pass is a show that highlights its technologically vibrant cyber side as much as its dark and socially neglected punk side. Also, the action is very well choreographed, which will keep any binge-drinking Neanderthal engaged as well. Psycho-Pass is a visually stunning anime that simultaneously manages a thrilling mystery while providing philosophical commentary on human nature and its relationship with society. The show doesn't shy away from its literary influences, referencing the works of Rousseau and Max Weber, all the way to George Orwell and Philip K. Dick. However, there is never a sense of pretentious exposition, as the show melds its diverse array of literary influences into the equally diverse, but more palatable, cast of characters. Some people will be irked by Akane's character design and personality, but just note the design choices and mannerisms of each character are well thought out and deliberate. Also, an attractive book-smart nerd of big tits is probably one of the biggest cunts you'll meet in real life, so thank God Akane has some humility, or this show would be either unbearable or unrealistic. If you absolutely cannot get yourself to like Akane in the beginning, just know she serves more as a side character to the well-received Kougami, and the main draw of the show centers around the mystery of the Sybil system and its structuring of a dystopian society. Also, Makishima might be one of the most captivating villains ever, so you don't want to miss out on that. My recommendation is to watch Psycho-Pass if you enjoy thought-provoking media that features dystopian societies and dark narratives. Just be aware that the show starts off a little slow for some people. However, my fascination with the Sybil system during the first episode was able to get me hooked immediately. Overall, Psycho-Pass is a deep philosophical plunge into society and manages to be edgy without being a pretentious edgelord, and deserves a mention whenever great dystopian works of art are brought up. It also doesn't hurt when the music sounds this good.